There's a quote that says, "Talent is universal, opportunity is not." For those trapped by extreme poverty, this quote is all too true. At Sunsar Maya, our mission is to create holistic, community-centered programs that provide the opportunities, education, and support that women and children living in extreme poverty can use to build their own pathways out of poverty. Nepal is one of the world's poorest countries. Following years of political and civil unrest, nearly 60% of the population lives on less than $2 a day, approximately 17 million people. The combination of widespread poverty, high illiteracy rates, and unplanned pregnancies has led to increasing numbers of women and children living in extreme poverty. Through our SUMA Women's Literacy Program, we serve women of all ages, with the average age of students being between 30 to 60 years old. In both locations, the women we serve received little or no formal education in their childhood. Only a handful of the women in our program are working within the formal economy. Most rely on their husbands, families, or broader community for support. None of the women have access to regular health checkups outside of those offered by our programs. Young women in Nepal are at risk of being forced to work in the drug trade, being sold as an indentured servant, or into the commercial sex trade. Additionally, more than half of the women in Nepal are illiterate. They lack equal access to education and, as a result, have few economic opportunities. Nepali women find themselves reliant on others to sustain them and their families, and in the communities where Sunsar Maya works, they are often victims of domestic abuse with no clear path to improve their situation. COVID-19 confined women to their homes, resulting in an uptick in domestic violence. Experts say the impact of the pandemic will be felt for decades to come. Countless studies have demonstrated the benefits of educating women and girls in Nepal and around the world. Access to literacy programs improve women's income earning potential, political participation, community involvement, and reproductive and overall health, and leads to an increase in self-esteem and confidence and better outcomes for their children. The primary goal of our women's literacy program is to help women in our communities develop self-sufficiency. By building our students' literacy and numeracy skills in Nepali, they are able to more easily manage daily tasks, such as shopping and paying bills, and participate more fully in their communities. This is even more meaningful for many of our women who speak the regional language but cannot speak the national language of Nepali, and thus struggle to navigate independently outside of their community.
Namaste, म शान्ता लामा, म सेक्सन ए मा पढ्छु। म चाहिँ साथीको मार्फतबाट संसारे माया स्कुलमा पढ्छु र त्यस स्कुलमा पढेको अहिले 2 वर्ष भयो र अहिले मलाई लाग्छ हामीले महिलाले पनि पढेर केही गर्न सक्दो रहेछ भन्ने लागिरहेछ र त्यसै कारणले मैले अहिले केही जान्ने बुझ्ने भएर सानोतिनो पसल थापेर बसेको छु र
नमस्कार, म सुन्दरी तामाङ हो। म संसार मायामा पढ्छु। म संसार मायामा पढेदेखि ममा धेरै फरक आइरहेछ। म पहिला कोहीसँग बोल्न सक्ने थिएन, हाँस्न सक्ने थिएन, यताउता हिँड्न कहीँ यताउता हिँड्न डर लाग्थ्यो। अहिले म जता पनि हिँड्न सक्छु, बोल्न सक्छु, अलि साथीभाइहरूसँग यताउता अरू फाल्टो मान्छेहरूसँग। पहिला कोहीसँग पनि बोल्न सक्ने थिएन, आफ्नै घर फ्यामिलीहरूसँग बोल्न सक्ने थिएन। अहिले त्यति डर लाग्दैन मलाई, म जता पनि हिँड्न सक्छु, एक्लै घुमेर हिँडेर आउन सक्छु जस्तो लाग्छ। इङ्ग्लिसबाट नाम लेख्न सक्छ। मलाई खुसी छ संसार मायामा पढेर। धन्यवाद।
Additionally, we provide our students with biannual medical checkups and health-related counseling. Hospital visits can be costly, and many women in our programs do not have access to medical care outside of SUMA programs.
नमस्कार, मेरो नाम साबिर श्रेष्ठ हो। म संसार मायामा ग्रुप सीमा पढ्छु। संसार माया पढेर पहिला शिविर आउँदाखेरि स्वास्थ्य जाँच गर्यो। पहिला बिरामी हुँदा पनि वास्तै गरिन्थ्यो। अहिले बेला जाँच्नुपर्छ भनेर थाहा भयो। अहिले परिवारको पनि हेरविचार गर्नुपर्छ भनेर थाहा भयो। संसार मायालाई धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद। Thank you.
The SUMA Women's Councils build leadership skills in members while strengthening the connection between Sunsar Maya and the communities we serve. The councils, which are supported by Sunsar Maya staff, meet monthly. They are tasked with identifying community-wide challenges and needs specific to women and girls in their communities and finding creative solutions to meet those needs. It is thanks to our global community of supporters and the incredible network of Together Women Rise that we are able to do this work and continue to educate more women so that they can create their own pathway out of poverty.
Afghan women have made great progress since the days of Taliban rule, when women had no rights or freedom. Yet today, Afghan women still suffer severe social inequalities, which are especially pronounced in the Afghan judicial system. From the minute they're born, girls are raised to serve others. This is life for little girls, washing clothes, collecting fuel, tending sheep. Early marriage keeps girls from completing an education, leaving them with few opportunities. The life of a young woman is determined by others. The girls of Afghanistan have such potential. All girls have dreams. Rukia wants to be a pilot. Gulnaz, a women's rights lawyer. But the Afghan judicial system is also weighted against women and girls. Nearly 90% of all cases are tried in informal tribal courts, where women's rights are ignored. A woman may be imprisoned solely on the unproven testimony of a man. A woman's voice is counted only as half of her husband's. Most women here have been imprisoned for moral crimes, fleeing domestic violence or a forced marriage. Thanks to the members of Dining for Women, we were able to provide incarcerated women and their children creative, healing, motivational support. In 2010, we trained 4 all-women's theater troupes, a first in Afghanistan. They created shows about women's rights and performed in women's prisons across the country. Now they train other women and their children. Our methods of theater training give women a chance to regain self-esteem, tell their stories, heal old wounds, and take control over their own lives. Next, we continued this work with women and girls in Afghanistan, preparing them to fulfill their dreams. Our work has also taken us to Myanmar, where we've been working since 2009. Here we use theater as a tool to educate and inform. We traveled with a local theater troupe to Kumakaite, to jungle areas along the Thai border, with a show about the importance of hand washing for children in monastery schools and orphanages. For kids brought up in the jungle, this is an important lesson. Over the last decade, the country has been transitioning from strict military censorship towards freedom of speech. However, the new freedoms have unbottled old hatreds, and conflicts have erupted across the country. In addition to the well-documented violence against the Rohingya by the Burmese military, the Kachin state and Shan state see bands of insurgents fighting for independence from the military government. In warfare, women always suffer. Rape is a central strategy of war, as a means to demoralize, punish. Both the military and the insurgents are guilty. In 2014, we created educational performances that demonstrate the tragic cost of discrimination and the value of peaceful coexistence between ethnicities. For safety from censors, the characters in our play were frogs and lizards, but the analogy to actual factions was clear to the audience. After each show, the audience has a chance to role-play their solutions to the issues and discuss their ideas. This gives people a platform to visualize peace and cooperation, and women lead the way in this field. Our next project focuses on empowering girls, letting them know their rights and their power. Our theater training is a great tool for spreading information and also for training girls for leadership, practicing powerful body language, poise, vocal dynamics, and giving them the courage to speak out. As the Myanmar conflict continues to expand, Malaysia is becoming a migration destination. Not just refugees from Myanmar, but from 21 countries around the world. Thousands of refugees from Syria, Somalia, Yemen, Iraq, Sri Lanka, and elsewhere. However, Malaysia has not signed the UN Convention on Refugees, leaving the country's refugee population vulnerable to exploitation of all kinds, especially for women and their children. In 2017, we began working with Rohingya women refugees in Malaysia, partnering with the Rohingya Women's Development Network. We use theater as an engaging way to bring information on refugee rights and resources. Which schools accept refugee children? Where can refugees get health care? What can you do if you're detained? Our performances use no language, just physical enactment, so any language group could understand this valuable information. These shows reached thousands of refugees. Most important, we taught the Rohingya women and the Somali women how to turn their true life stories into plays. Now we have 2 new women-led theater groups who are spokespeople for refugee rights in their communities. Our next project in Malaysia tackles the effect of child marriage, a harmful custom that persists globally. Traffickers have become more and more bold as the number of refugees rises, and child brides have become a lucrative new business for traffickers. Information to protect girls and families is crucial, as well as empowering girls to make their own choices and speak out for justice and equality. We thank every member of Dining for Women for their dedication to women's rights and freedoms everywhere.